Zechariah 13, verse 1, Jerusalem delivered and cleansed. On that day there shall be a fountain opened for the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to cleanse them from sin and uncleanness. For me, yesterday was a busy day, filled with lots of emotion. I watched a video on Facebook by a doctor from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who demonstrated the proper procedure for disinfecting work surfaces, carry-out food containers, and groceries. Before that, I watched the live stream of our church service and afterwards shared in the virtual coffee hour. During the day, I had a Facebook Messenger chat with two of my siblings to catch up and see how they and their families were holding up. Then I watched happy ending escape movies on Disney Plus while I disinfected all the groceries and supplies my son had brought home for us. We had a nice dinner in our warm house with lights on in every room and plenty of hot water to do the dishes and wash our hands for the 100th time. I went to bed to read for a bit and do my scripture journaling for today. 102 years ago, beginning in January 1918 and ending 23 months later in December of 1920, the Spanish flu pandemic struck around the world and in a little town in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan called Sault Ste. Marie. My grandmother, Annie Elizabeth Sawyers, was stricken with the flu, and while she was hospitalized, 5 of her children, 2 sets of twins, and another child, died of the flu. Before she recovered and came home, her husband, my grandfather, William Sawyers, carried each of his poor dead children alone in little baskets to the cemetery to bury them. My father, Ira Clayton Sawyers, was 7 months old at the time. That pandemic infected 500 million people and killed 50 million. Today, my grandparents' descendants number in the hundreds. My dad and mom had 5 children and 14 grandchildren. All the descendants of William and Annie Elizabeth Sawyers, including my family and me, have everything we need to see our way through this generation's pandemic. We can conduct our own daily chemical warfare against this threat, and we even have YouTube videos of doctors and psychologists to help us in every conceivable way. This isn't going to stop us. We're none of us ever helpless or alone. Not ever. God is good all the time, through the darkness and the light. And there will always be the fountain, which is the love of God, opened for us to cleanse us from sin and uncleanness.